One of the most interesting things to me that happened during the week in sports was actually outside of sports. It has to do with ESPN and how they suspended Stephen A. Smith a week for his comments on Ray Rice. Now, you can get into a whole debate of freedom of speech and all that, but it's difficult to say you have freedom of speech when you're working for a company. But it started a good little battle about Stephen A. pretty much saying that, it's wrong for a man to attack a woman, but let's not get it twisted. Let's not have the women provoked, which started Michelle Beadle of ESPN to say, oh, okay, let me not wear this short dress because it might provoke my man for me getting beat. So it started that whole thing. It's a very gray line in the middle. When he got suspended, a lot of the dudes was wondering why did he get suspended for a week? And then females was actually rooting for him. So I can understand it. Stephen A., I think what he did, which messed him up, he had a poor choice of words. I understand where he was coming from. He pretty much say, look, beating a woman is wrong no matter which way you put it, even if a woman provokes you or not. But let's throw some shame on the women too, because they sometimes provoke. And there was an article that another radio personality, Charlamagne the Guy, said, video vixen, Melissa Ford, tried to provoke her man from hitting her because they know the law will go in favor of the women. So you have to watch out actually for these women. But he had poor choice of words, which caused him to get suspended for a week. And another thing that happens, you see that Ray Rice at Ravens training camp was cheered by fans there. And then you see all this stuff. To me, it just shows, when I saw that, it disturbed me because it shows that it's a man's world, because Michael Vick will get booed for hurting dogs, but yet if you beat a woman, you might get cheered for it. So it's a double standard. They always say a man's world. Back in the days, women wasn't allowed to vote. They really wasn't seen as equal with men back in the day. But they always say dog is a man's best friend, which shows that it's a man's world at the end of the day. This is the BS Podcast Show. I'm your host, Brandon Fryer, a.k.a.
The Fry Guys.
Welcome to another edition of this BS Podcast Show. Like I said before, I'm your host, the Fry Guy, Brandon Fryer. Got Mike in the building with me, enjoying this beautiful Friday here in Chicago. We got a great show for you this week, man. No time to play games. We're going to talk about the MLB trade deadline. We're going to talk about the Bears with our special guest, Bears insider Adam Hodge will be in there joining us via Skype. We're also going to do stock up, stock down, because U.S. basketball is going on. Actually, the showcase is tonight. I think it's the blue versus the white tonight on ESPN. So we're going to do stock up and stock down, see who's going to make the team or not. We got your ish, play of the game, full of bull, halftime. We got something interesting. It's a great show for you, man. But, before we get into any of that, let's get you caught up with this BS update. And let's start off in basketball. As the Lakers hired Byron Scott as their new head coach. He used to play for the Lakers back in the day, so they kind of still keeping in the fold there. It's like the mafia there. The Hawks re-signed point guard Shelvin Mack. The Kings signed Omar Caspi. The Bucks signed Gerald Bayless. The Mavs signed Ivan Johnson. The NBA is eyeing a week-long All-Star break. Kind of expand that. We'll see what happens with that. Michelle Roberts is named the executive director of the NBAPA. The judge rules for Shelly Sterling and okays the Clippers sale and kind of blocks Donald Sterling from trying to appeal it. But he's going to find a way to get around that. It's been a report that Blake Griffin has a small back fracture. This is the reason why he withdrew from the USA basketball team. The Grizzlies named Chris Wallace their GM. Kevin Love also withdraws from the U.S. basketball because of the whole conflict with the trade talks with Timberwolves and the Cavs and all this stuff. The NBA is adding its Twitter handle at NBA to the official game ball, and USA will add Paul Millsap to the training camp squad. In football, the NFL is considering hat cams for refs. The Falcons and Roddy White agreed to a 4-year extension. The Cowboys and Tyron Smith agreed to an extension as well, along with the Cardinals and Patrick Peterson, the Packers and Jordy Nelson, and the Vikings and Kyle Rudolph. The Seahawks signed cornerback Terrell Thomas, and the NFL makes NFL legends, Hall of Famers, Chris Carter and Michael Irvin, Pro Bowl captains. You know, last year it was Deion Sanders and Jerry Rice. This year, Chris Carter and Michael Irvin. In NCAA, the NCAA reaches a $70 million concussion settlement. USC Pavilion, Pauley Pavilion of that matter, will be ready for the season. And the reason why I say that, because they flooded, the whole pipes burst and it just flooded out the whole thing, and it did 10 years of water damage. But they say that the Pauley Pavilion will be ready by the start of the season. Also, 5-star prospect Joe Mixon is under investigation for assault. He's playing for Oklahoma. He hasn't been with the team of late, so I was a little interested in that. Stay in tune with that. O.J. Mayo's brother, Todd Mayo, is leaving Marquette for a pro career. He might be in the NBDL or overseas. They don't know yet. Ex-Temple star Rick Brunson is indicted for sexual assault. In baseball, Baseball Hall of Fame will cut eligibility down from 15 years to 10 years. And you know the trade deadline happened, so a lot of notable names. It's a whole bunch happened. I'm going to do the most notable ones. The Dodgers acquired Darren Barry from the Cubs. The Cardinals acquired Justin Matterson from the Indians. The Braves acquired Emilio Balsifano and James Russell from the Braves. The Giants acquired Jake Peavy from the Red Sox. The Yankees acquired Martin Prado and Stephen Drew. Orioles acquired Andrew Miller from the Red Sox. The Nats acquired Esdrúbal Cabrera from the Indians. The Brewers acquiring Hernando Pereira from the Diamondbacks. The Cardinals and Red Sox did a 4-player trade, which pretty much Alan Craig goes to the Red Sox and John Lackey goes to the Cardinals. The A's and Red Sox complete probably the biggest one of all, the 3-player deal, which included Johnny Gomes and John Lester going to the A's and Johan Cespedes going to the Sox. The Tigers acquired David Price in the 3-team trade, which pretty much seeing Austin Jackson to the Mariners, and 3 players go to the Rays. Now let's talk about that, a whole MLB in our first quarter. I started off the show sending a question out via Twitter. I think I actually did it yesterday, and I said, who is your winners from the trade deadline? I'm going to read some of them. Biggest winner is the A's. Billy Beane showing that he's winning it now. And another person said the loser is the A's because they lost Cespedes. And why would you lose somebody that you got for 3 years for a person for 2 months? Sorry, the way I'm reading it exactly how I'm doing it now. So if I sound like I'm stopping, I'm just so much crumbled up words, and sometimes they misspell, and they need a lot of spell checks here. Another person said, loser is the Indians. They're only 5 games out of the wild card, but they really need a bat. So they wasn't going to sign Cabrera. They need a bat. Okay, so I'm going to give you my winners. I have 3 winners and I have 3 losers. And let's start with the winners. First off, I want to give it to the Tigers. And they saw what the A's was doing. So they pretty much said, hey, we need to get a pitcher. And they got David Price. And they only gave up like Austin Jackson, probably some prospects. But the fact that they got David Price, they don't even got him for like 2 months now. They're not leasing him. They got him for 2 months and all of next year. So that is a good look for the Tigers. They're showing that, look, we're trying to win the championship too. So they are definitely one of my winners. Obviously, biggest winner, A's. Even though people want to say they're losers, I think they are winners because with the platoon they got of Johnny Gomes, and then they have Fold, a defensive player that they acquired too in the trade deadline. It really makes up. They're not going to lose too much now. They're not Cespedes, but it's not really going to make them lose as much having them in the fold. And you got John Lester. That pitching staff is like ready to go, and I feel like right now they're my favorites to win that World Series. Also, the Red Sox. I'm going to give it to the Red Sox because somebody made a good point. I think it was one of ESPN's baseball analysts. I can't think of the name right now. But they pretty much said, look, yeah, they say, you know what, this season a waste. But they got Cespedes. They got Alan Craig. They got now some power in the outfield that they didn't have before. And they got them for the long haul. And what you could do now is Lester's going to become a free agent. You can re-sign him back to the team, and you're ready to go again with a better lineup. So I actually really like the squad. And I think Cespedes is going to kill at Fenway Park. He's going to crush balls. And he's one of the best defensive arms that have the best arms in the outfield. You imagine with that short right field, left field, he could probably just he's going to start throwing out people from first when they try to get a single. I'm telling you. Let us talk about my losers real quick. I mentioned the Red Sox. Why not talk about their rivals, the Yankees? To me, and this is about, they get Steven Drew, they get, like, I think Martin Prado. Yeah, okay, that's nice, I guess. But you know what I noticed about the Yankees? They remind me a lot of the Lakers. And the reason why I say that is because Yankees and Lakers, they always go after the big names. They, no matter what, just the big names, and they still don't have it. Granted, they're only 5 games out of the whole AL East, but still, they just keep going after these big names. You got Steven Drew, but you got CC Bathia. They needed pitching more than anything because you got Tanaka out, then you got freaking CC Sabathia out. They need pitching, and you just keep adding hitters, and all these big names. They need to just stop. Like, they need to really take a step back, learn to rebuild, get some young talent in there, because Derek Jeter's going, and you're going to keep trying to get these old players in here. I mean, you got to stop. And it goes for the Lakers, too, with them all getting like Carlos Boozer, and then they just getting all these names just to stay relevant. Jeremy Lin, it's just too much. But let me stay on baseball. Let me talk about another loser. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay Rays. And the reason why I got them as a loser is because I feel like they should have got a little more. Granted, they got some decent prospects and stuff like that, some decent players. But the fact that John Lester, I feel like David Price is better long-term than John Lester. So the fact that he had a year and a half left on his contract and only John Lester only had 2 months, you got Cespedes for 2 months of John Lester. And the only thing you could get back is just 3 players. You could have got a proven player too, David Price, especially if teams was more desperate. Once they saw that A's deal, I would feel like more teams would have been knocking on the door to try to give the Rays something really nice to get David Price. So those are my winners and losers. Let's go to the next quarter. Let's keep it local, get into some football, and talk about the Bears. And one person who knows about the Bears a lot is Bears insider and beat writer Adam Hogue. You can follow him on Twitter. He also does work for The Game 87.7. He's joined us via Skype. This is Side of Fries interviews. Adam, I'm going to get to it right quick. Brandon Marshall said that Jay Cutler could probably be MVP this season. But everybody say that could be the case if he's healthy. So there's been a track record that he hasn't been healthy. So with that being said, how is the backup quarterback position looking? Say if he's not healthy, because his record's proven that he hasn't been healthy. So how's Jimmy Clausen looking? Who's winning that battle? Jimmy Clausen, Jordan Power? How's Jordan Power looking? How's Jimmy Clausen looking? Who's standing out right now for that backup quarterback position?
You know, today was probably a little bit more even. I think Jimmy Clausen's probably had the better camp so far. Jimmy did have one really nice throw today where he dropped one in on the sideline. So in terms of maybe the better pass of the day, Jimmy might have won it, but they were pretty even today. And I think that we need to continue to wait for these preseason games. One, to see how the snaps get distributed, who actually comes out first. Because if you base it on what we've seen in camp so far, it might be Jimmy Clausen, but Mark Trestman also did say at the beginning of camp that Jordan Palmer would get the first reps, and you would kind of think that would apply to the preseason games as well. But I think that that's mainly where this battle is going to be won or lost, once you see these guys go up against opposing defenses in the live action of a game where they can actually be hit and will be tested a little bit more.
Okay, Adam, let's talk about where the quarterback's going to be throwing the ball to, and that's the wide receivers. We know Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall, they're set. But let's talk about that third wide receiver, fourth wide receiver. Is it Marquise Wilson's job? Like, is he set at the third one? Or is people like Eric Weems, I'm hearing that he's having a great camp. Is he going to challenge him, or Chris Williams or anybody else going to challenge him for that third, fourth wide receiver spot? How's it looking at that wide receiver position?
I mean, I would be surprised if those two guys were to jump ahead of Marquise Wilson, but I do think that has been a competitive battle. So, whereas sometimes you have these battles where it's just sort of you give the guy a job by default because someone has to win, that has been a competitive battle between Chris Williams and Eric Weems.
Adam, tell me about the safety position. That's probably the biggest need on the defensive side. I'm hearing it's wide open. I also heard that it's Ryan Munley and McCray at the first team. Like, is he really got a shot for this spot to be the starter? Like, tell me about the safety position. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, it was still those two, Danny McCray and Ryan Mundy. In fact, Brock Vereen even got some third-team reps today. So, that for all we know, that might be part of the plan. I will say that keep in mind a year ago when they were doing the offensive line battle, with Kyle Long and Jordan Mills. Those guys were with the twos for the first week of camp, and even going in the first preseason game, that's how they prepared. And then the next week, they flipped it, and those two did so well that they were able to keep their jobs there, and that was the rotation and how it stayed the rest of the way. But so it's very possible that because of the off day on Tuesday, that this was the plan all along, to get Danny McCray in there, and now this might be his 3 or 4 practices before the next off day to get those reps with the first team. And to me, that's a very sensible way of executing a competition in camp, giving guys over the long haul the equal reps. Now, again, same thing with the quarterbacks. We'll see how these guys come out in the first preseason game. That'll tell us a lot about where they stand on the depth chart, and then see how that progresses to game 2 and then to game 3. And then I'm sure by then, that's probably when you want your starters to be determined. That 4th preseason game is more about the bottom of your roster.
All right, it's halftime. Let's get out of bounds a little bit, just a tad bit. Now, you know LeBron James picked number 23 that he's going to wear when he goes back to play for the Cleveland Cavaliers this upcoming NBA season. But he's not the only player that came home. I mean, it's a good story. There's a lot of other players that came home and came back to their original teams. And I'm going to give you a few right now. Let's first start off in baseball. Greg Maddux. He returned to the Cubs in 2004. Now, granted, he started his career with the Cubs. He grew up in a farm system, got there and played for a couple seasons, was looking real good. Then they traded him to the Braves. And he just had just an awesome career there. That's where his pretty much Hall of Fame status started from. And then he came back to the Cubs in 2004. So he's one. Another one. Ricky Henderson came back to the A's. Not just once, but twice. In his whole 25-year career, he's had 3 stints with the A's. So he came back and then came back again. Another one. Ken Griffey Jr. He started with the Mariners. And then by the time he finished his career, he finished with the Mariners. And he also went to Cincinnati, where his dad played for and coached for. In football, we got Jason Taylor. He returned to the Miami Dolphins. Shannon Sharp finished out his career when he came back with the Denver Broncos. In basketball, Jason Kidd, drafted by the Mavs, came back at the Mavs in 2011, won a title with the Mavs. And last but not least, Scottie Pippen, who started with the Bulls. We all know him pretty much. He was the Robin to Jordan's Batman. He came back in 2003 with the Bulls. Didn't finish out the season, but hey, he came back. And he wasn't the player he was, but hey, he came back too. So everybody's coming home. LeBron, you're not the only one. Let's get back into the quarter. All right, third quarter, we're going to play a game. Stock up, stock down. We played this game before. We're going to tell you who's up and who's down right now since this whole U.S. basketball training camp. And let's start off with probably the most impressive player that people have been saying. Derrick Rose. His stock is up. The reason why I said it, Jim Boeheim, one of the assistant coaches there for USA Basketball, said he's the most impressive player so far. And Coach K even said he's looking at him and Kevin Durant to be the leaders there for their team. So I pretty much say it's a lock that this guy, Derrick Rose, is definitely going to make the team. Another one, let's stay in the Chicago type of thing and talk about Anthony Davis. His stock is also up. And the reason why, Kevin Durant said that he's next in line to become that superstar or that next superstar in line. So it might be Kevin Durant, Derrick Rose, and then you have Anthony Davis right there. So he's pretty much saying he's next in line. Another person, DeMarcus Cousins, another big man. His stock is actually down. The reason why, they saying that they're having somebody ahead of him to make the team. And that person is, whose stock is going up, Mason Plumlee. This guy's on the select team. And they're saying there's already been reports that he could probably make the squad over DeMarcus Cousins. I don't know why. I think DeMarcus Cousins to me is one of the best centers there on that team right now. Another person who stocks up is Andre Drummond. And the reason why I say his stock's up is because you have the likes of Kevin Love and Blake Griffin gone from the team. They need some help right now in that front court. Really, all you have is Anthony Davis, and then they saying they don't know about DeMarcus Cousins. So that leaves a guy like Andre Drummond, a guy who's only 20 years old, not even 21 yet, to really prime to make this team and really take over. And you know what? Since I'm doing stock upside down, let's get off that. I'm going to try to give you another game, and it's Supersize My Fries. And it's where I make bold predictions. And I might as well start off now. I'm going to tell you my final 12 that's going to make the U.S. team roster. And let's start off. I think the starting lineup is going to be this. Here's my 5 right here. I think Derrick Rose is going to be the point guard. I think he's going to be the starting point guard. James Harden is going to be the 2 guard. I think Paul George is actually going to be the small forward. I think they're going to move Kevin Durant actually to that power forward spot because he's like 6'11". So might as well move him up there. They did it to Carmelo Anthony, have him, even though he's a small forward, made him play the power forward. And because USA is kind of thin at the front court, so Kevin Durant will be the power forward. Center's going to be Anthony Davis. Like I said, he's next in line. Then the next 5, I'm going to have Kyrie Irving off that bench, Steph Curry, Bradley Beal, DeMarcus Cousins, Andre Drummond, Kenneth Faried, and Damian Lillard. Those, to me, are the 12. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe Klay Thompson make it. Maybe John Wall makes it. But, hey, that's who I'm going with. So those are my bold predictions. Let's get into the next quarter. It's time for my favorite segment. It's called Your Issues. When you send me questions via Twitter at this BS Show, and I answer them right here in the segment. I'm going to have Mike read them off. I'm going to answer them. Mike, what's the first question?
Okay, first up is MREZF13C. It's weird, man. I can't pronounce this. I think it's just a mixture of letters or whatever, but that's what it is. So, first question is, can Texas really have 3 NFL teams?
I mean, it's possible just because the fact that Texas is known as the football capital. But the reason why I can see that question being brought up is because there's already been a report that Raiders owner Mark Davis was looking at San Antonio as a possible destination to move the team. Now, I can't picture the San Antonio Raiders. That just sounds weird to me. I feel like the Raiders should actually be in L.A. I see that. Why not go to L.A.? But San Antonio, I can see San Antonio. I really can. Texas is a football capital. I see San Antonio. I just don't see the team of the Raiders being there in Texas. What's the next question, Mike?
Okay, next up, at Cynthia Fain, she said, you think KD could leave OKC for DC?
Okay, Cynthia Fan, first off, been hitting me a lot. This is like her 3rd, 4th time sending me questions on Your Issues. But I definitely could see it. It's a possibility. A lot of these NBA stars love coming home. You got Derrick Rose with the Bulls. You got LeBron James with Cavs. Carmelo staying in New York, with the Knicks. So with that being said, yeah, I can see it happen. And especially more after this because I have a quote from Kevin Durant when he was asked about the whole DC thing. And he said, I grew up watching the Bullets/Wizards. That whole city is a part of me. It's in my blood. So I could definitely see it. But I think right now, if he had to choose right now, he's going to choose OKC. He's just going to play it out, see how they do, see how they operate, see if they can get more pieces, see if they can get a little closer. If not, maybe you got to move to the East and see what the Wizard is. Because KD with Bradley Beal, John Wall, Nene, and Gortat, that's a nice squad. Really nice squad. What's the next question, Mike?
Okay, last up, Craze_in who said, which athlete would you love to be?
Which athlete would I love to be? I'm going to go with Dwayne Wade. I know you're going to say, oh, you're from Chicago, so you're picking the Chicago kid. But, I mean, it's more than just because he's Chicago. He got 3 rings. The man lives in South Beach. He has a celebrity, pretty much fiance, wife, in Gabrielle Union. He got fashion sense to me. Even though you say he's a little crazy, but he's ahead of the fashion game. You got sponsors with Jordan and Gatorade. I mean, what more could you ask for? Dwayne Wade would be the one I'd love to be if I had to be anybody or any athlete right now. Yeah, be Dwayne Wade. He got bad knees, but I take bad knees to be with Gabrielle Union, having 3 wings and living in South Beach. You wouldn't take that? Surgery can heal that. I got all the money in the world. My BS player of the game goes to 2 NBA reps. Just NBA reps in general. But it's 2. So, Dick Bavetta. Reason why you know him, he's the old ref. He's the one who was at All-Star Weekend and him and Charles Barkley raced against one another. He's probably the most known ref besides, Joey Crawford. But he's going to retire at the age of 74. I feel like this man's a pioneer when it comes to NBA referees, so he definitely deserves some type of kudos and credit. And another one is Violet Palmer. And the reason why, she's a female ref. She's coming out as gay, and she's going to get married to her girlfriend. She's a celebrity stylist. They had a 20-year relationship. I'm glad with the whole Michael Salmon and Jason Collins, everybody's coming out now. So anybody who can just stand up and come out now and just be comfortable with themselves and feel like now I don't have to hide, I can be, live in my own skin and don't have to worry about it. She just came out. So to me, those two, Dick Vetta and Violet Palmer, definitely deserve my BS play of the game. My full of bull goes to Josh Gordon, Browns wide receiver. And the reason why he's appealing his suspension. But nothing's wrong with appealing your suspension, but it's the reason he's claiming to secondhand smoke. Josh, come on, really? Really? Don't feed me BS and call it sugar grits. You know what you was doing. You got a past history when it comes to drugs. Don't credit it to secondhand smoke. I'm just going to read off some of his troubles that he's been to. In July 2011, he was suspended indefinitely from the team of Baylor after failing a drug test. Then when he got into the NFL in June 2013, he was suspended 2 games for violating the NFL substance abuse policy. Then this recent one, May 2014, he's going to be suspended a whole year. This is the one he's appealing because he failed the drug test for the 2nd time. And then right after that, the man in July of 2014 got a DWI arrest. Like, come on, man. Secondhand smoke, get out of here, man. Save that ish for the birds. I want y'all to go on my Tumblr page. That's thefryguybs.tumblr.com. We got the photos of this week. We also got videos of the whole 49ers new stadium, Levi Stadium. Go check that out. And we got a video of a sneak peek. Mike Tyson is going to have a cartoon show on Adult Swim, and it's Mike Tyson's Mysteries. Check out the sneak preview of that. It's pretty hilarious. I saw it. I was like, this is ridiculous. Also, we got a video of lingerie football player. She had a touchdown. She celebrated, and you got to see what she did when she scored that touchdown. Check out the video on there. Also, we got our On Deck segment. It's all about U.S. basketball. We got, not just the NBA players, the people who's probably going to be in the NBA in the future. We got the whole roster, women's and we got men's. So they're on deck. They're up next. Okay, and we also get some of the most classic rap albums meshed in with some of the NBA players provided by my man Presto. He is an awesome artist. He shoe design. He is great at that. All that on our Tumblr page. That's thefryguybs.tumblr.com. Also subscribe to our YouTube page. Just go on YouTube, type in This BS Show. You can catch all our shows, view them there. It's good to see. Also, go on our Twitter page as well. That's at This BS Show. Send us your questions for BS Around Question and your ish. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to this edition of This BS Podcast Show. I want to thank my special guest, Adam Hogue, my BS contributor, Mike Howard here. I also want to thank Angela Lewis, Devin Washington, the Game family, you guys for tuning in and listening. And remember, life is a game, so play hard all 4 quarters. I'm about to get up out of here, man. I'll see you next week. 2 fingers in the air. Peace. All right, man. It's officially August, man. That's crazy. Like, Mike, man, I'm telling you. Like, this summer went by so fast, man. I'm about to finish up school and everything. It's just crazy. This summer's going by too fast. Everything is going by too fast right now, man. I know, man. It's crazy.
Bye-bye. You tripping. I'm out of here anyway. Peace out.